It's absolutely wild that one day after the tariffs have been implemented, that disaster has already struck for Trump, and he's already retreated. The auto industry basically said, this is going to destroy us. Can you please not do this, please? And Trump, of course, goes, oh, sure, okay. So he's now made an exception for the auto industry because a lot of cars and parts are made in Mexico and Canada, and it basically would have put the cost of those cars up 25%. So he's like, oh, no, we're not going to do that. Now, we've also heard today that China has put retaliatory tariffs on a bunch of things, but one is on soy, which are a lot of soybean farmers in the United States who are going to get kicked in the teeth by this because all of their prices are now going to have to go up 10%, and they will sell less because it is more expensive. Meanwhile, the stock market is all roiled because the one thing the market hates the most is uncertainty, and so we are just now ping-ponging back and forth and all over the place on economic policies, which is going to hurt people a lot. Hurt their 401ks, hurt all of their investments, make it harder for people to invest their businesses because they don't know like what the landscape's going to look like moving forward. This is just an unmitigated disaster. And this idiot Trump is making it worse because he's a terrible businessman. We all know that. He doesn't know what he's doing. At some point, people are going to have to wake up and realize that this is just an unbelievable disaster and will not help the United States in any way.
I just watched this video of this Canadian liquor store removing Jack Daniels from the shelves that they already paid for. But they have like all these cameras there like recording and they're like taking it off. So dramatic and ridiculous, by the way. If they really wanted to make a splash, they should have like fucking threw them on the floor and broke them or something. I don't know. It's just funny, just like, oh, we're gonna show you.
So from what I'm hearing, some of y'all voted for Trump because he promised that he would lower prices. Yeah, we're having this conversation again. He promised that he will lower prices. And now his 25% tariffs is now in effect on goods that we get from Canada, China, and Mexico. So now that that's in effect, those items that you wanted lowered is now going to become higher. And yet, you know what? No, I'm not even going to put me in it. Now y'all have to worry about, oh my God, the prices are higher now. But we voted for the prices to be lower. So please tell me, how do you feel now? You wearing your MAGA hat that was probably imported from China, now your goods are going to be higher. So again, when are you going to admit that he's causing a trade war? He's causing a trade war, but yet y'all rather go broke than to admit that he's wrong. That's what it is. Y'all are willing to become broke to admit that he's wrong in this trade war. So I'll wait and hear, the reason why all this is happening, because I know y'all gonna be on here saying some crazy stuff that's not gonna make any sense, but yet you don't want to admit that he's causing a trade war. So I'll wait.
What's up, folks? Hope you're all doing well. I am Fikazo. Welcome back to my channel. Alright, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Welcome once again. Alright, today we are diving into a hot topic that's been making waves across the country. That is none other than tariffs. And we are going to see how they are affecting everyday Americans. We'll also touch on some recent votes that have stilled quite a bit of controversies. Now, the first thing is we are going to understand what are tariffs. Until this moment, there are people who don't understand what are the tariffs. So first, let's break down what are the tariffs. Tariffs are taxes imposed by the government on imported goods. The idea is to make foreign products more expensive, encouraging consumers to buy domestic products instead. That sounds simple, but the reality is far more complex.
So tariffs are in place. Are fertilizer prices going skyrocketing higher? No, not necessarily. And honestly, let's break it down how this is going to play out as far as each country, because we're going to be talking about Canada and the US. So everybody always thinks potassium. That potash, we get most of our potash from Canada. Yeah, it's true, but we do get a chunk from Russia. And regardless of how we feel about them right now, we banned that for a while and then it started creeping back in. So we're getting some from Russia, but yes, we get most of it from Canada. But the problem with Canada is not all of the stuff that they bring into the United States stays here. Actually, something like, what was it, 7 million tons, Josh Linville said, actually gets exported out through our ports because our ports are better than their ports. That's a big problem because not only can they not sell potash to the United States at the same price they'd like to, they're not going to be able to export it out of here without paying those tariffs. And potentially the US could block those exports. That'd be a big problem for Canada because essentially they'd have to sit on a huge pile of potash. Not good. The other thing is phosphorus, right? No one wants to talk about the phosphorus side of this. We are one of the largest producers of phosphorus in the world. And where does most of our phosphorus go? Like 80%? North of the border. So not only will they be hurt a little bit by the potassium side of it, their phosphorus price, which phosphorus is astronomically high compared to the corn price and the soybean price. So commodity prices do not reflect the price on phosphorus. We're going to increase that potentially in Canada. So yes, I know it's not great for us with tariffs. I mean, tariffs suck. I don't like them. Nobody likes them. But you have to understand the basics of some of this stuff, that it's not exactly a total FU to the American farmer. This is more of an FU to Canada, I think, than it is to us. But yes, it still sucks. We don't want to do it. But this is the facts of it. You have to understand how this stuff plays out. And I think it's more of a screw you to Canada, which I have Canadian friends. There's Canadian people that watch this. It's not that I'm like, F you Canada. I'm not using, I can't find any Canadian. I'm not looking for Canadian products in my shop. Probably not many, but I don't care. It's not me versus Canada or Canada against us. It shouldn't be that way, but I don't know. This is just explaining what's going on. I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore.
What are the impact of tariffs on everyday Americans? This is a very huge impact. Let's talk about how these tariffs are impacting us. For example, DT's tariffs on Canadian lumber have caused a significant rise in lumber prices. This has led to higher construction costs, making housing more expensive for many Americans. Similarly, tariffs on goods from China, Mexico, and Canada. This has led to an increased prices on everyday items like food, clothing, and electronics. So those are the taxes on those goods from those countries, which have caused a lot of price hike. And we are not forgetting that those same countries are going to impose taxes on the goods that are being exported from US, which is going to be a total chaos.
The new tariffs aren't just about price hikes on avocados and electronics. They're about power, leverage, and the future of the U.S. economy. Markets are rattled, CEOs are scrambling, and the Chamber of Commerce is calling for a reversal. But this isn't just about short-term pain. It's about forcing a supply chain revolution. For years, U.S. companies outsourced production to cut costs, and Trump's tariffs suddenly make that untenable. Businesses now face two choices: absorb the higher costs and lose profits, or rebuild supply chains closer to home. That could mean a manufacturing resurgence in North America, more factories, more jobs, and a more self-sufficient economy. But the timing is tricky. Supply chains don't shift instantly, so in the short term, we could see rising prices, uncertain growth, and a Federal Reserve that's trapped, unable to cut rates without risking more inflation. If companies move fast, the pain is temporary. If they don't, stagflation becomes a real threat. This isn't just economic policy, it's a shock designed to force adaptation. The bet is that America can rebuild faster than it breaks. The risk is that the breaking happens first.
Canada has responded to Donald Trump's tariffs and it's not looking good. Canada pretty much said, if you're gonna hit us with a tariff, we will happily cut the power off. And in case you didn't know, Canada supplies a lot of power to states like New York, Michigan, and Minnesota. So if they pull the plug, some experts are predicting a major blackout or an energy crisis for us. And that's not all. Here are some of the things that will be directly impacted because of the tariffs. Number one, gas prices, our electric bills, auto parts and the car market in general, but also certain produce and groceries that are imported like avocados, electronics like computer, cell phones and tablet, clothes and shoes, and certain alcohols like tequila, whiskey, and bourbon. The tariffs that were implemented will go into effect today, March 4th, 2025. And please understand that grocery stores operate on a very thin margin, meaning they cannot eat the tariffs. So some of our groceries will be going up. Also, Canadian politician Doug Ford stated that Canada did not start this tariff war, but they will win. He also ordered to remove any American alcohol company from the Canadian shelves, and he stated that he doesn't understand why Donald Trump is attacking their closest friend and ally, and a tariff on Canada is a tax on America. Now, let me give you my 2 cents that nobody asked for. We cannot control what is happening, okay? So every time you hear the news, as bad as they are, I don't want you to panic or freak out. When we're talking about prices going up, it's going to take time for that to happen. We're gonna see an increase within the next 3 to 6 months. So if you got a tax return, please save that money. Now is not the time to go on shopping spree, be spending money on nonsense, and prepare for the rainy days, okay? I truly hope that our government comes up with a plan, like right now, so that we're not the ones who will eat the cost of these decisions. I am staying optimistic, even though it's not really looking good.
So tariffs and increasing the price that we have to pay for imported goods is going to bring back manufacturing jobs to the United States because the US will just start making those things by themselves, right? Okay, well, what do you think the turnaround time is on that? Do you know how long it takes to build a factory, get the machines in that factory working, and get that factory running at full capacity? It's years. It's likely not going to happen before the next presidential election. It takes a really long time to get a factory completely up and running. And in that meantime, we would still have to buy that imported product and be paying the taxes on that imported product. And remember, it's gonna cost more if we're making it in the United States, because if we could make these products in the United States as cheaply as they're made overseas, we would have been doing it a long time ago. So it could bring back manufacturing jobs, but it's gonna be a while, and also it's gonna be more expensive. And are these gonna be good paying jobs? Well, if I had to guess, I would say since the political party that is making all of these policies is not for raising the minimum wage and is not for unions, I don't think they're going to be great paying jobs, because why would they be? So could they bring back manufacturing jobs and make stuff in the US? Sure, but again, prices are not going down. Yay.
Interestingly, some voters who supported these tariffs are now feeling the negative effects. This has led to a lot of discussion and debates about whether these policies are truly beneficial in the long run. But the bad thing is they are realizing that at this moment. They should have realized it before they go and vote against their own rights. They should have realized that these things are going to really affect us. We have to be careful. We have to make sure that what we are doing is right. But right now, they voted against their own interest and it's affecting everyone. Now, as we've seen, tariffs, is an essential tax on imported goods meant to encourage people to buy, domestic products and protect local jobs. That was the initial plan. When a country imposes a tariff and say 25%, for example, on Chinese goods, the price of those goods goes up. The idea is that this makes domestic products more attractive and encourage people to buy American-made goods. Now, what's the reason behind these tariffs? What's the DT's reasons? It's highlight how he framed tariffs as a way to push other countries, especially China, into a better trade deals and bring jobs back in the US. For example, DT argued that these tariffs would level the playing field, push other countries to give America a better trade deals, and revitalize American manufacturing. That sounds good, right? Now, what's the real impact on different sectors of these tariffs? From the manufacturing, for example, industries which make steel, aluminium, and machinery initially benefited but later saw prices increase for raw materials and equipment, ultimately leading to higher production costs for domestic manufacturers. And for example, some of US manufacturers got a temporary boost, and the cost of raw materials like steel and aluminum went up because of tariffs. And small manufacturers who didn't have the same buying power as large companies faces a high cost. Now, let's go to agriculture sector. This highlights effect on farmers, particularly in DT supporting states. Farmers were hit hard by retaliatory tariffs from other countries like China on products like soybeans, pork, and corn. And one of the hardest hit sector was agriculture. Farmers in the Midwest, many of whom voted for DT, were devastated by retaliatory tariffs from China. Their crops, which they have spent years growing, suddenly faced the tariffs and made them less competitive globally. So on the retail and consumer, this point out the impact on consumer goods like electronics, clothing, which saw price hike due to tariffs on imported goods. And tariffs on imported goods like electronics, clothing, and furniture meant higher price at the checkout. So while you were getting more American-made products, you were also paying more for them. So crazy. Now, DT voters and their expectation now. These people didn't anticipate the full impact of tariffs on why they might be feeling betrayed or frustrated now. For many DT voters, the tariff sounded like a smart way to bring jobs back to America. But now, after seeing prices rise and jobs disappear in certain sectors, they are beginning to realize that the economic boost they were promised never fully materialized. Some voters are now reconsider their support for tariffs as the negative effect become more apparent. People in rural community and working class areas who are hoping for a boost to local economies are now asking themselves if tariffs were worthy, especially when their jobs, income, and cost of living has all been impacted. While tariffs were made to protect American workers, the reality is far more complicated, from hurting manufacturers with high production costs to squeeze farmers with the retaliatory taxes and raising consumer prices across the board. Tariffs have hit hard. Alright, thank you so much for watching till the end of this video. Thank you so much for being here. Please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and let's catch up in the next episode. Bye bye.